So if you guys are watching this video, I assume that you guys are interested in potentially working with us on finding us deals. So this video is simply going to be breaking down everything that has to do with handwritten letters, door knocking, and just any sort of approach to finding off-market deals for us and for yourself. This may apply if you guys are looking out of state. You guys can do this if you guys are in another state. Obviously, if you're handwriting letters with stamps on them, you can put them in the mail and you can pretty much send them wherever. If you are living in California, if you're living in Connecticut, New York, you still can write letters for us and just direct them towards neighborhoods in Phoenix. So I'm going to break down absolutely everything there is you guys need to know. If you guys do have any questions, I ask that you guys actually email me, not comment down below, just because we can keep everything a little bit more organized that way. And with all that being said, I hope to work with you guys. So we're going to minimize myself right now and let's jump right into it. So what I'm going to be talking about mainly here today is handwriting letter guidelines. I also have a little bit of a segment on door knocking, which is another great approach to finding off-market deals for us to flip and for you guys to get a finder's fee. I'm also going to break down finder's fees for you guys and what you can get paid, how you get paid, when you get paid. All that kind of stuff will be broken down in this video. For handwriting letters, the first thing is how we decide or where we get all our information from in order to send these homeowners letters. First of all, you have to know where someone lives, what their names are, and just a little bit more information about their properties. The way that I look at this is the Maricopa County Assessor's website. This is obviously for Phoenix. You guys can go to your county's website, the tax records on your county, and you guys can find a ton of information on individual homeowners. So right here is where you actually would type in the address. You can literally go on Zillow, look for specific neighborhoods. You can go on the Google Maps, or you can just drive neighborhoods here if you guys actually live in Phoenix, and just look for neighborhoods that you maybe want to send handwritten letters to. I'll explain what neighborhoods to target, but this is the box right here where you guys want to enter it in. I'm literally just going to type in something random and hopefully something will pop up. So then you're going to get a list of information. Let's just say we want to send to this house. You're going to click on the actual address right here, and what that's going to do, I don't even know who owns this, what the situation is, where it's at. This is just a completely random example. So this is what we want to look for. Every single box right here is a different owner. Every time you click on one of these boxes, it will pull up the information. So Lee Duncan is this guy's name. It even sometimes will tell you when they bought it and what they bought it for. This is very important because if you're trying to find houses that have a very small loan amount on it and a lot of equity, which I highly suggest you do that, because we're not going to go try to buy a house from someone that has a house that's worth $400,000, but they have a $390,000 loan on it. That just doesn't make sense for them to sell it, and they will likely not sell it. But if you go to someone like this who bought this house for $100,000 right here, the house is worth $500,000. This gentleman has $400,000 of built-in equity. He's way more likely to sell the house. So these are some things that I look for. Just an example, though, I'm just trying to show you guys the Maricopa County website. It's very, very simple. You guys can literally just blast out, write all these out on envelopes, and then just put stamps on it, take it to your post office, and it'll send it to all these houses right here. So now that that's out of the way, let's go back to the purpose. The purpose of writing these letters is trying to catch sellers at a good time who are ready to sell their property, targeting their emotional side. So the reason why I say emotional side is because handwriting letters is very time consuming. On average, it'll take about 2 to 2.5 minutes from start to finish to write a letter, rather than cold calling someone. Even door knocking sometimes a little bit faster. So the main purpose with handwriting letters is to connect with their emotional side. You're going to be able to connect on a way more personal level with someone or a homeowner, rather than cold calling them from a virtual assistant overseas, where it's just not personal whatsoever. They oftentimes get hung up on. So yes, you're not able to write as many letters as cold calling someone, but the main approach here is to catch their emotional side, which usually has a better return on your investment or return on your calls. So for every 10 letters you write out, hopefully you get 1 phone call, as opposed to for every 100 phone calls you make, you may only get 5 people calling you back. So the main goal here is to be personable, and I'm going to talk about how to be personable a little bit later on. And when I say trying to catch the sellers at a good time, in Arizona at least, you can almost guarantee every single person that has owned a house has been reached out in some sort of way, whether it be cold calling, cold texting, direct mailers. But if you catch them at a good time, a good week, even a good day sometimes, when they open up the letter and they're like, you know what? Let's give it a try. Let's call this guy back. It's all a timing game. So yes, they most likely have been reached out to. plenty of times before, but like I said, if you catch them at a good time, that's the best case scenario. Types of letters. Yellow and bright letters seem to have the best response with a simple stamp on top. You can choose to leave your return address or just leave your name at the top. If you guys don't want to leave your return address, just write your name in the top corner, and hopefully you wrote their address correctly where you won't get it sent back to you. This is obviously up to you guys. You guys can figure out what works best for you. This is kind of just what I've experienced before in my research I've done on handwritten letters. That's what gets the best response. Target neighborhoods. This is very important here. I typically aim for semi-distressed neighborhoods with older homes because most likely those people have owned them for a while. Houses with poor lawn care, meaning people just don't really care about their house. If you're going to a house that has like perfect lawn, perfect everything, they most likely have more of an emotional attachment to the house as opposed to someone else. Obviously, it's a case-to-case scenario, but I'm just going off general statistics here. You're probably a better chance of finding someone that doesn't care about their house that wants to sell it as opposed to someone that's outside doing gardening every single day to their house. And if they do want to sell it, it's going to be much harder to get a good offer across the table for someone that values their house much more emotionally than someone else. Target neighborhoods is anywhere like after renovation value of less than $400,000. We're not trying to target huge Scottsdale neighborhoods or huge neighborhoods that have huge houses. We have better response with finding houses that are less than that. And then obviously on the sell end too, if we do get a contract and we do flip the house, it's a lot easier to sell those lower cost houses. It's very easy to run comps on Zillow. Just go and look. If you like this neighborhood, if you drive around, you're like, oh, I want to send letters to this neighborhood. Go on Zillow, run quick comps on there. It'll literally give you a Zestimate. Zestimate is not extremely accurate, but for in a situation like this where you just want a ballpark number, you can just simply go off the Zestimate. And then the last thing I want to talk about, if you want to target specific houses, that is totally fine. It's a personal preference. It's a numbers game at the end of the day. So if you want to drive around for 20 minutes looking for distressed houses with horrible lawns and only write to them, that is totally fine. You may get a better response rate. But at the same time, it's going to take a lot more time to like kind of pinpoint each and every one of those houses. For me right now, I'm actually handwriting letters as we speak. After this video, I'm going to write another 10 here. Right now, I'm targeting just general neighborhoods. It's a little bit easier. You can write through them a little bit faster, but it's totally up to you. What to avoid. So houses you don't want to send to, LLCs or mailing addresses to P.O. boxes, which is generally owned by a company or a business or an office. We try to target homeowners and individual landlords, meaning landlords that only maybe own 1 to 2 rental properties. I like to target out-of-state investors. So if they have a mailing address that's out of state, then that's a really, really good sign that they are an individual landlord if it's under their name and not an LLC and they're out of state. Those people generally don't have a good idea on the market and they're more willing to just take an offer if it sounds good to them and if it meets their criteria. So I like to go after out-of-state landlords as well. And especially ones that have a lot of equity in their property. You could just catch them at a really good time and they're like, you know what, let's go and sell it. I don't live there. It's really hard for me to go get pictures. It's really hard for me to set up, to find an agent to set up showings. So let's just go with you. Avoid houses that have recently been purchased. You don't want to go after houses that have a huge loan on it because obviously they're not going to sell it. I talked about it before. So here is some stuff that you guys probably want to know. Content. So these are just my samples. You guys can totally do what you want to do. If you guys have suggestions that work really well, if you guys already do handwritten letters, I would really appreciate if you guys give me your suggestions. I'm trying to get even better at my wording and my letters and basically my copywriting. So if you guys have any suggestions on copywriting and what to say, go ahead. Sample 1. Hey, John and Jackie, I was driving through your neighborhood on Monday and absolutely fell in love with the area. I'm reaching out to see if you two had any interest in selling, ? I know the market is at an all-time high, but I would like to make an offer. If this is of any interest to you now or in the future, please keep me in mind and call or text me whenever. The reason why I say now or in the future is because the goal is to try to get them to hold on to your contact information because they may not be ready to sell now, but whenever they are ready to sell, if you're at the top of their mind, that's awesome. Being as personal as possible as well. Saying, hey, John and Jackie, that's great because you're well aware of their names, obviously. And then I also said you too, rather than if you are interested in selling, I said you too, which goes back to I know there's 2 of them that are on the deed, so that's another little copywriting strategy right there. I tapped into some of their emotions right here by saying I know the market is at an all-time high, kind of reminding them that now may be a really good time to sell, but I would like to make an offer. So that's obviously means I'm well aware that the offer I'm going to make is probably going to be a little bit higher. The main goal for these letters is just get them to call you back. That's the hardest thing. If you can get them to call you back, then we can start setting up some different marketing approaches to them. Sample 2. This is a little bit more personal. So this is up to you guys if you guys want to get more personal with it. Hey, John and Jackie, my name is Nick Palladino. I'm 27 years old and currently living in Gilbert, Arizona. I have spent the last few months looking for my first home purchase with no luck. I absolutely love this neighborhood and was curious if you had any interest in selling if I made you the right offer. I know the market is hot, but I've been looking for a while and ready to make the move. Call or text me if you have any interest. If you don't want to lie about it, obviously I don't suggest lying, so you can just say something other than I'm looking for my home purchase. You can say my friend's looking for a home to purchase. Anything you want to say, whatever you're comfortable with saying, go ahead and say it. But this could be if you guys are actually looking for your personal house, this can be a great approach. Now this one is to like an investor. I really like doing these letters. It's less emotions, it's more straight to the point. Hey John, I was driving by your house on Road and City, whatever road and city it is, Chandler, Arizona. And I was curious if you had any interest in selling your house if the price is right. I know the market is at an all-time high, but I'm ready to make the move and finally have my funding in place. If you have any interest at all, don't hesitate to call or text me whenever, whether it be tomorrow or down the road. Please keep me in mind. First contact. So it really only takes one deal to make the last couple months of handwriting letters worth it. If you guys spend $50 every single month on handwriting letters and you close a finder's fee deal of $10,000, it's obviously much worth it. You guys can do this on your own time whenever you want to do it. There's no certain number you have to reach. If you want to write one letter a week, or if you want to door knock one neighborhood a week, that's totally fine. This is strictly like a commission based in a sense, so you're not obligated to do anything. Your main goal is to get as many people calling you back as possible, even if they don't close. They are another lead in the pipeline for down the road. Once they are on the phone, I would learn a little bit more about why they are interested in selling, learn a little bit more about them, and gauge how serious they are. Some people are just curious on what you're going to offer them and they have no intention to sell it. I wouldn't get into talking about prices right away, especially for you guys. If you guys aren't aware of the market, there's no point in talking about prices. Moving on, oftentimes it's a better fit for them to sell traditionally through a real estate agent, and that is totally fine. So we're not trying to convince people that want to sell their house traditionally. We're not trying to convince them to take a cash offer. Oftentimes these people are well aware of the situation. We're not going to be able to offer them top dollar. So if they already know that they're going to go through a real estate agent, it's not really worth trying to convince them. In this conversation with this homeowner is not qualifying them, it's almost dequalifying them, like figuring out if they're not going to be a good fit for us. Like if they're already giving you huge resistance, if they're being obnoxious with their purchase or what they want for their house or whatever it may be, you're trying to disqualify them and save your time for the future. But if they're interested and they're like, oh, I really don't know what I want to sell it for, I think it's worth this, I kind of just want to make it super streamlined and easy, I don't want to live here much longer, I don't want to have a lot of showings, those are our type of people. But if they're like, yeah, I'm going to sell it next week, I already have an agent in mind, I'm going to sell it for this much, then it's not worth trying to convince them otherwise, because selling traditionally, it's a great thing. It's not bad. I'm an agent myself. So if someone wants to sell traditionally, that's awesome. And you can always pass them on to me as an agent as well. So if they don't want to sell with a cash buyer off market, you can always pass them on as a real estate agent as well to me. Get an idea, a ballpark on what they want for the house. So you kind of want to figure out an idea on what they want or what they think it's worth. And then all this information, you're going to ask for pictures as well. It can be simple iPhone shots from them. You can send this all to my email. Script. Tell the truth. I wouldn't lie and say you're looking for your dream home and it's the perfect house. You can say my friend is looking for deals. He's able to close cash as is, no showings or inspections. Our best clientele are the ones who don't want to sell with agents, who don't want to deal with agents, who don't want to deal with inspections or showings and repairs. So these people just kind of want to move on with their property. We are a solution to that problem. A lot of sellers are against investors because they say we will all lowball them. Be upfront and tell them you can be upfront with them and tell them that we are able to offer more than any other competitor, most likely because we don't have any overhead, we don't have any expenses, we don't have any employees. So for that reason, I can personally say that we will most likely be a very competitive offer for them. So we're not going to lowball them. So if they're going to be like, well, I don't want to deal with you because you're going to lowball me, I would reassure them that we're not a big company, we're a very small company, and that we're going to be able to offer a very competitive price. Once again, We are closing cash. That's a huge incentive. You guys want to know. We're able to close whenever they want to. We will have no showings, so no one has to walk through their house. No inspections or no repair requests whatsoever. So basically our demographic is someone that just wants to get rid of the property and not think about it again. So keep that in mind if you guys are calling these people. Now for you guys, finder's fee and payment. Payment can be in two ways. If you guys get the deal under contract yourself and do everything from start to finish, you can simply wholesale us that deal. Wholesaling, it takes a lot more time and effort from you guys. Obviously, you guys have to be kind of knowledgeable on contracts and earnest money deposits and all that. But if you guys do everything from start to finish, I'm not opposed to like you guys can wholesale it to us, add on whatever price you want, and if we want the deal, we'll take it. Keep in mind, if you're wholesaling it to us, you're already getting that house under contract, but that doesn't mean we will buy it from you. So keep that in mind if you guys are wholesaling deals. You don't want to get stuck in between a rock and a hard place. You lock something up and then no one is here to buy it. With finder's fees, you don't have any contracts, you don't have any obligations to the house. So if we don't want it, then there's no obligation to you. You're not stuck with anything. So keep that in mind. If you are just looking to send us a hot lead after the initial first phone call that you make with someone, or actually they're going to call you because you left their phone number, then we will figure out a finder's fee for you guys. Finder's fees are usually in 3 tiers. It really depends on our potential profit margins. If we can figure out a really good deal with a specific homeowner where we're going to make like a decent chunk of money on the profit, I'm not going to scam you guys. I'm not going to rip you guys off. We want to give you guys like a tier level for how much we're making as well. So if we're making a good amount of money, we're obviously not going to give you guys $2,000. We're going to go upwards of $7,500 to $10,000. This is all negotiable as well. So I just did want to give you guys a ballpark. If we have very tight margins on the property, it's very high risk, then we'll obviously give you a lower finder's fee. There's a $5,000 finder's fee, and then there's a $7,500 to a $10,000 finder's fee as well. Our last finder, we gave him $7,500. All finder's fees are paid on the same day of the close of escrow on when we buy it. So you guys don't have to wait the 60 to 90 days for us to renovate it, for us to list it, for us to sell it. You guys get paid right away before we do any of that. And then that's basically however you want to get paid. That's, I guess, not a very useful information, but you can be check, Venmo, Zelle, wire transfer, anything. If you guys have any questions about anything I talked about, my email is right here. And then finally, a great approach is door knocking as well. This is an amazing tool to generate leads. It's obviously more cost efficient than letters because you don't have stamps. You don't have to go buy letters. The only thing you're spending money on is your time and a little bit of gas to drive neighborhoods. That's pretty much it. So I think this video is going to be private unless I see enough value to actually make it public on my channel. Who knows what's going to happen. But thank you guys. I look forward to potentially working with some of you guys in the future. Have a great rest of your day.